Chosen one. Pause for a moment. What you are hearing right now is not noise, not coincidence, not chance. This very moment has been orchestrated by heaven, written into your destiny, long before your eyes ever opened today. You did not click this video, your spirit was summoned to it. Chosen one. You've been walking through waiting seasons that felt endless delays, that made you question your path, warfare that tried to break your spirit. But hear this with the full weight of prophecy: none of it was punishment. All of it was preparation. Heaven has been shaping you, refining you, and positioning you for a level of wealth, influence, and purpose that only an anointed one can carry. Right now, you are standing at the threshold of a supernatural breakthrough, a divine wealth transfer, a sudden elevation, a shift that will rewrite everything connected to your name. You are not ordinary. Wealth is your calling. Money is your mantle. Breakthrough is your birthright. For it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, "Though the vision tarry, wait for it will surely come." Chosen one, your appointed time has arrived. The signs have already begun. Heaven is moving, and this video is your confirmation. Chosen one. Before anything in your life shifts externally, heaven always begins the transformation internally. And right now, even as you listen, something inside you is waking up, not a thought, not an idea, but an identity. You are beginning to remember who you are in the Spirit, who you have always been in the eyes of God, and who you will soon become in the realm of destiny. This awakening is not random. It is the first signal that heaven is drawing you into a new dimension of wealth, authority, and purpose. Many people walk through life unaware of the mantle resting on them, but you, chosen one, are different. You were marked long before you were born, crafted with a spiritual signature that responds to divine calling. This is why ordinary life has never fit you. This is why mediocrity suffocates you. This is why you've always felt that subtle pull, a whisper in your spirit, saying, there is more for you. I have walked through seasons like this myself, where everything outside looked the same, but something deep within began to shift. It felt like a quiet stirring, a vibration in the soul, a gentle but undeniable reminder that God had chosen me for something larger than my surroundings. Chosen one, that same stirring is rising in you right now. You may not be able to explain it with logic. You may not even be able to articulate it with words, but your spirit knows. Your identity is being reintroduced to your destiny, and the moment the two reconnect, elevation becomes inevitable. You are no longer looking at yourself through human eyes. Heaven is allowing you to see yourself as a carrier of divine assignment, a vessel of supernatural wealth, a steward of resources meant to impact generations. You're not just someone hoping for breakthrough, you're someone built for breakthrough. If you look back, you will notice that your life has carried a rhythm different from those around you. While others blended in, you were set apart. While others settled, you kept rising. Even in your lowest moments, when you questioned your worth and your future, heaven still whispered your identity back to you. The world may have overlooked you, misunderstood you, or underestimated you, but God never did. Your identity was sealed in the unseen long before any circumstance tried to shake it. And now, as this awakening unfolds within you, everything is starting to make sense. The isolation, the hunger for purpose, the discomfort with stagnation, the sudden desire to grow, learn, and transform. These were not random emotional swings. These were spiritual alarms ringing inside your soul. Chosen one. When heaven gets ready to elevate someone into wealth, the first thing it does is restore their self-perception, because abundance cannot flow into a spirit that still thinks it is ordinary. Influence cannot rest on someone who believes they are unworthy. Divine opportunities cannot attach themselves to someone who doubts their calling. That is why the awakening of identity is not optional, it is foundational. Only when you know who you are can you carry what God is about to release. And let me tell you this truth, gently but boldly, you are not being prepared for small blessings. You are being prepared for extreme wealth, wealth that touches nations, wealth that shifts bloodlines, wealth that announces heaven's fingerprint on your life. You are stepping into the identity of someone who does not chase money but attracts it effortlessly because of alignment, purpose, and calling. As this awakening increases, you will also notice that certain things no longer resonate with you. Some environments will start feeling too small. Some relationships will feel misaligned. Some routines will no longer satisfy your spirit. This is not you losing interest. It is you rising in identity. When the eagle grows, the nest becomes uncomfortable. When the anointed rises, old patterns become too tight. When a chosen one steps into divine identity, anything that was built for your old season becomes impossible to remain in. Embrace this shift. It is the echo of growth. I have seen this in my own journey. The moment identity awakens, courage rises, purpose sharpens, discernment intensifies, and the fear that once held you back begins to dissolve under the weight of divine clarity. This is what is happening in you, chosen one. Heaven is not waiting for you to become someone new. Heaven is reminding you of who you have always been. You were not created to struggle endlessly. You were created to steward realms, influence systems, and walk in supernatural provision. This is why the world could not contain you. This is why lack could not define you. This is why every setback became a setup, because your identity refused to die, even when your circumstances tried to bury it. Chosen one, as your identity awakens, so does your authority. You start speaking differently, thinking differently, dreaming differently, and soon you will start acting differently, not out of pride, but out of recognition. You begin to understand that you are not stepping into wealth because of luck or coincidence, but because it was written into your design. For it is said in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that every vision has an appointed time, and your appointed time is drawing near. Before wealth appears in your hands, it appears in your identity. Before abundance flows into your life, it flows into your mindset. Before breakthrough manifests around you, it awakens within you. Chosen one, what comes next will shift your spirit. Chosen one, if identity awakening is the moment your spirit remembers who you are, then understanding your waiting season is the moment you finally understand why the journey had to unfold the way it did. Every delay, every silent night, every unanswered prayer, every door that refused to open when you were knocking with everything you had, all of it was divinely calculated. None of it was wasted. None of it was a detour. Heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was maturing you. And now, as you look back with fresh spiritual eyes, the waiting begins to interpret itself. Chosen one. Do you remember the seasons when it felt like you were standing still while others were advancing? When you watched people rise quickly, step into opportunities you prayed for, or experience breakthroughs you felt were designed for you? In those moments, it was easy to believe something was wrong with you. But the truth is profoundly different. You were not behind, you were in process. And the process of a chosen one is never rushed. When God prepares someone for extreme wealth and supernatural elevation, he does not move according to earthly calendars. He moves according to spiritual readiness. What looked like delay in the natural realm was actually construction in the invisible realm. I have lived through waiting seasons that felt endless seasons, where I questioned my purpose, wondered if God had forgotten me, and feared that maybe my dreams were too big. But with time, I learned something sacred. Heaven's silence is often the sound of preparation. Just because you didn't see anything moving didn't mean nothing was happening. God was aligning people, shifting circumstances, and reshaping your inner world so that when the blessing arrived, you could carry it without collapsing under its weight. Chosen one, your waiting season was not void. It was full of refinement, full of lessons, full of pruning, full of divine construction. Every disappointment was removing what could not go with you. Every closed door was redirecting you toward something greater. Every loss was making room for abundance. But when you were in the middle of it all, you could feel was the ache of expectation without evidence, the ache of believing without seeing, the ache of hoping without receiving. Yet, even that ache served a purpose. It stretched your faith beyond comfort. It expanded your spiritual endurance. It trained you to trust God even when the path made no sense. And trust is the currency of the chosen. There were moments when you felt stuck, but heaven saw you being rooted. There were moments when you felt abandoned, but heaven saw you being held. There were moments when you felt small, but heaven saw you being shaped for something massive. Waiting seasons feel like stillness, but they are actually acceleration in disguise. You were not waiting for wealth. Wealth was waiting for you to become the version of yourself capable of stewarding it without losing your soul. Chosen one, consider this truth. The higher the calling, the longer the preparation. Ordinary lives receive ordinary breakthroughs, but yours is not an ordinary life, and what is coming to you is not an ordinary blessing. You have been chosen for a financial mantle that affects bloodlines, generations, nations, and spiritual territories. So heaven took its time with you. Heaven protected you from premature opportunities that would have derailed you. Heaven withheld connections that would have drained you. Heaven delayed breakthroughs that would have been too heavy for you at the time. Heaven was never denying you. Heaven was preserving you. If you listen closely to your memories, you will notice glimpses of divine intervention woven through your waiting. Times when you almost settled, almost compromised, almost fell back into old patterns, but something stopped you. A nudge, a warning, a strange discomfort, a sudden shift. That was heaven guarding your future. That was God refusing to let you sabotage what he was preparing. You were never waiting alone. You were waiting with supervision, waiting with covering, waiting with purpose. And yes, it was painful. Yes, it was bewildering. Yes, it was long. But do not mistake long for wasted. A seed spends far more time underground than above it. But the rooting is what guarantees the rising. You, chosen one, were being rooted. Before elevation, God ensures stability. Before abundance, God ensures integrity. Before visibility, God ensures identity. That is why your waiting season felt like being hidden, because heaven hides what it values until it is ready to be revealed. Now something in you is beginning to realize that the waiting was not punishment. It was prophecy being fulfilled through process. The very reason you did not give up even when everything around you suggested you should is because the promise was alive inside you. You were not waiting for something uncertain. You were waiting for something inevitable. Your waiting season was not a pause. It was a prophecy incubator. Chosen one. The interpretation is clear: you were not delayed, you were developed, you were not denied, you were destined. Your waiting season was the womb of your becoming. And now that you are emerging from it, the spirit realm is shifting around you, making space for what has been prepared. Chosen one. What comes next will deepen your understanding in ways you have never experienced before. Chosen one. As your identity awakens and your waiting season finally begins to reveal its divine meaning, something sacred starts to rise within you, not externally, not through signs, not through circumstances, but deep inside your spirit. This is what we call internal confirmation. It is the moment when heaven stops whispering around you and begins speaking within you. It is soft, subtle, but unmistakably supernatural. And if you've been feeling it lately, that pull, that shift, that inner knowing, then understand this clearly: you're stepping into a God-ordained elevation that can no longer be delayed. Internal confirmation rarely arrives with fireworks. It arrives through alignment, through clarity, through a sense of quiet certainty that appears even when nothing in your physical world has changed yet. You may look around and see the same job, the same bank account, the same challenges, the same unanswered prayers. But something in you truly knows that these conditions do not reflect your future anymore. You are sensing what your eyes cannot see: the movement of God behind the scenes. Chosen one, this is not imagination. This is not wishful thinking. This is not your mind trying to comfort you. This is heaven verifying your next chapter. Because before God moves your circumstances, He moves your spirit. Before He lifts your life, He lifts your awareness. Before He confirms your blessing externally, He confirms your identity internally. What you're feeling is not random emotion, it is spiritual activation. There are moments when you wake up with an unexplainable hope, even though nothing around you suggests hope. Moments where you feel peace without reason. Moments where your thoughts begin to shift from if it happens to when it happens. Moments where your inner dialogue changes from fear to readiness. This is confirmation. This is the Holy Spirit aligning your inner world with your coming breakthrough. When God is close to answering you, He prepares your heart first. I have walked through this stage many times, and each time it felt like a holy stirring, a sense that something was approaching, something bigger than my own plans, something that didn't come from my own ambition. I couldn't explain it to anyone, because how do you describe a certainty that has no visible evidence? Yet the more I leaned into it, the more real it became. Chosen one, you know this feeling. You've carried it silently, almost protectively, unsure whether to speak it aloud. But let me tell you this: your spirit is not lying to you. Your intuition is not deceiving you. The confirmation you feel is heaven sent. Internal confirmation is also why certain things no longer feel the same. You may find that old fears suddenly seem powerless. Situations that once triggered anxiety no longer provoke you. Thoughts that used to overwhelm you lose their grip. This is not emotional numbness, it is spiritual strengthening. God is adjusting your internal atmosphere to match the reality you are about to step into. You are being stretched into someone who can carry wealth, influence, and divine responsibility without collapsing under them. Sometimes this confirmation comes through discomfort. Not the discomfort of fear, but the discomfort of misalignment, a holy dissatisfaction with your current reality because your spirit knows it has outgrown it. Conversations bore you, distractions irritate you, mediocrity suffocates you. You crave depth, clarity, elevation. This is a sign that heaven is pulling you upward. When God begins to elevate someone, He first makes them restless in spaces that no longer reflect their destiny. And then there are moments of supernatural sensitivity, times when you feel things more intensely, when you sense shifts before they happen, when you perceive spiritual movement without needing explanation. You may even feel as though heaven is closer to you than it has ever been. This is because when God prepares a chosen one for extreme wealth, He increases their spiritual awareness so they can navigate blessings with discernment. Divine provision requires divine perception, and that perception begins with internal confirmation. Chosen one, pay attention to the affirmations that rise within your own soul, the sudden clarity in your thoughts, the unexpected confidence in your decisions, the renewed energy toward your purpose. These are signs that heaven is speaking from the inside out. It is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that the vision will speak, and this is how it speaks first, through your inner world. Another layer of internal confirmation is the collapse of doubt. You may still feel moments of uncertainty, but they no longer dominate you. The doubt is weaker now. The fear is quieter. The confusion is less convincing, because truth is taking its place. Your spirit knows what your mind is slowly catching up to. You are nearing manifestation. You are approaching fulfillment. You are walking into something that feels both unfamiliar and strangely natural, because your destiny has always recognized this path. And then there is that quiet moment, the one that comes unexpectedly. Maybe when you're driving or praying or simply sitting alone, where a realization hits you like a gentle wave: I'm ready. You may not feel ready in the natural, but your spirit recognizes its timing. Chosen one. When your inner world reaches readiness, heaven accelerates the outer world. God does not wait for everything around you to become perfect. He waits for your spirit to stand in agreement with what He already ordained. Your internal confirmation is the signature that the season you prayed for is now approaching. The evidence may not appear yet, but the alignment has already begun. The shift is already happening. The blessing is already moving toward you. You feel it because it is real. Chosen one. What rises next within you will deepen your certainty in ways that only heaven can orchestrate. Chosen one. Now that your spirit has awakened to your identity and the waiting season has revealed its purpose, and now that internal confirmation has begun to pulse quietly within you, heaven begins unveiling one of the greatest mysteries of your journey: divine timing. This is the realm where God's orchestration becomes undeniable, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because your spirit begins to recognize the rhythm of heaven moving through your life. Divine timing is not about clocks or calendars, it is about alignment. And right now, chosen one, whether you fully see it or not, your life is aligning with something heaven scheduled long before you ever prayed for it. You may have felt in your heart that certain moments in your life seemed too precise to be coincidence. A conversation that showed up exactly when you were ready to give up. An opportunity that arrived just in time. A person who appeared out of nowhere and shifted your perspective. A sudden moment of clarity that came in the middle of confusion. These were not random. These were timestamps from heaven, gentle reminders that God has never been late and never will be. Chosen one, divine timing has been at work from the very beginning of your journey, even in the chapters where you thought everything was falling apart. Heaven does not waste time. Heaven invests it. Those delays you endured, those pauses that frustrated you, those seasons where nothing moved forward, no matter how hard you tried, they were all synchronizing you to the right moment. God was not withholding your breakthrough, He was aligning it. There is a profound difference between delay and alignment. Delay feels like stagnation. Alignment feels slow but purposeful. and now as you look back, you can feel the difference. Divine timing is the reason certain relationships ended. It is the reason certain opportunities felt out of reach. It is the reason God blocked access to paths that looked promising but were never meant for you. When God prepares a chosen one for extreme wealth and supernatural elevation, He does not simply bless them, He protects them from premature access. Some doors remained closed because you would have walked through them too early. Some opportunities were removed because they would have distracted you from your destiny. Some connections dissolved because they were tied to an old version of you that could not enter your new season. Heaven was preserving the timing of your blessing even when you didn't understand. I remember walking through seasons in my own life where everything felt off schedule, where I begged God to speed things up, not realizing that the very slowness I resented was the foundation being shaped for my future. Looking back, I thank God for the prayers He didn't answer immediately. I thank Him for the moments He made me wait, because the person I became in the waiting was the person capable of receiving what He had already prepared. Divine timing is not about control. It is about readiness. Chosen one. Listen closely. When God is ready to elevate you, there will be no resistance strong enough to stop it. Divine timing does not negotiate with obstacles. It overrides them, it dissolves them, it renders them irrelevant. This is why in certain seasons breakthroughs happen suddenly. Breakthroughs that seemed impossible for years arrive effortlessly. Not because your effort changed, but because the season changed. When the appointed time arrives, what once required force begins flowing with grace. What once was blocked becomes open. What once was delayed becomes accelerated. This is the signature of divine timing. You may have recently felt a strange acceleration in your spirit, a sense that something is approaching, that something is turning, that something is shifting around you. That sensation is not your imagination. It is your spirit detecting a change in seasons. Just as the earth can feel the shift between winter and spring before the flowers appear, your spirit can feel divine movement before the manifestation arrives. Heaven always shifts the internal atmosphere before it shifts the external world. And when divine timing begins to activate, you will notice signs in your everyday life. People who once ignored you will suddenly notice you. Paths that once resisted you will suddenly welcome you. Ideas that once felt foggy will suddenly become clear. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, hearing the right messages, receiving the right insights, all without forcing anything. This is the beauty of divine timing. It requires less effort and more surrender. You are no longer striving, you are aligning. Chosen one, trust this truth. Divine timing is not random. It is not unpredictable. It is perfectly crafted. Even the moments you thought you missed something were part of the plan. You cannot miss what heaven has ordained. You cannot lose what was written with your name on it. What belongs to you is not slipping away, it is being prepared. And when the preparation is complete, it will arrive with a grace that will make you forget the weight of every delay. It is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 that there is a season for everything under heaven, and you are stepping into a season where what was once withheld will be released, where what was once hidden will be revealed, and where what was once slow will become swift. Divine timing is heaven's signature that your life is not ruled by randomness, but by orchestration. Chosen one. The timing that is unfolding in your life now is leading you somewhere far greater than you realize, and what is coming will demand the fullness of your purpose. Chosen one. Once divine timing begins to unfold, heaven turns your attention towards something even deeper, your purpose and your calling. This is the stage where everything in your life starts pointing in one direction, where the noise of the world fades and the truth of why you were created becomes louder, clearer, and more undeniable. Purpose is not something you decide, it is something you discover. And calling is not something you chase, it is something that reveals itself when your spirit is ready to carry it. Right now, chosen one, your life is shifting because your calling is awakening. For years, you may have felt like you were wandering, moving from one season to another, trying to understand what role you were meant to play in this world. You might have questioned whether you were falling behind, missing opportunities, or misreading your path entirely. But heaven was never confused. Heaven knew exactly who you were long before you knew yourself, and every experience you endured was shaping you into someone who could carry extraordinary purpose with unshakable strength. Nothing in your journey was wasted. Not the pain, not the waiting, not the confusion, not the disappointments. All of it served a divine intention. Chosen. One purpose is not discovered in comfort. It is discovered in stretching, in breaking, in rebuilding. Your calling emerges in the pressure, the pruning, the refining. That is why your life did not mirror the lives of others. You were set apart. You were carved differently. Where others took shortcuts, you were forced to take the long road. Where others received quick results, you were taught patience. Where others found ease, you found warfare. And now it makes sense because your calling demands more from you than an average destiny ever could. I have lived through these moments where purpose felt like a whisper, soft and confusing. But as seasons shifted, that whisper became a shout within my soul. Suddenly, patterns made sense. Suddenly, gifts that felt random became essential. Suddenly, the things that once wounded me became the very things God used to mold my assignment. Purpose often hides inside the places you tried to escape from, and calling often emerges from the experiences you thought would break you. But God was not breaking you, He was preparing you. A chosen one. You are stepping into a calling that carries weight. This is not an ordinary assignment. This is not a casual elevation. You have been chosen to steward influence, resources, wealth, and spiritual authority in a way that impacts not only your life, but the lives of countless others. You were not created to chase blessings. You were created to become the blessing. That is why certain environments rejected you, because you were designed for larger territories. That is why certain people misunderstood you, because your calling exceeded their perspective. That is why your spirit never settled, because you were created for more than survival. You were created for dominion. Purpose is the reason your heart feels pulled toward certain visions. Calling is the reason you cannot shake certain dreams, even when you try to downplay them. Have you noticed, chosen one, how specific desires rise within you? Desires that feel too large, too bold, too extraordinary to be your own. That is not ego. That is destiny speaking. The dreams that frighten you the most are often the ones God planted. Your calling is written into your spiritual DNA. You cannot outrun it. You cannot silence it. You cannot shrink it to make others comfortable. As divine timing activates, purpose begins to demand expression. This is why you are becoming more sensitive to alignment, why you feel a deeper pull towards certain paths, why your spirit reacts strongly to environments that do not reflect your future. Purpose sharpens your discernment. Calling clarifies your decisions. When God prepares a chosen one for extreme wealth, He does not simply provide resources, He reveals responsibility. Wealth without purpose becomes empty. Wealth without calling becomes dangerous. But wealth with divine assignment becomes unstoppable. And that is what is being awakened in you. Consider the people who inspired you, the mentors God placed in your path, the messages that resonated at the exact moment you needed them. These were not coincidences. These were divine reminders of the kind of vessel you are meant to become. Purpose is rarely born in isolation. It grows through encounters, through revelations, through glimpses of what God wants to do through you. The reason you feel called to build, to create, to lead, to rise, is because heaven is preparing to use you as a channel of transformation. Chosen one. Your calling is not just about your success. It is about impact. It is about legacy. It is about breaking generational cycles. It is about shifting financial destinies. It is about carrying a mantle that will echo long after your lifetime. You were chosen because you can be trusted. You were chosen because your heart remained tender even in hardship. You were chosen because wealth will not corrupt you. It will amplify the light within you. As purpose awakens, you may feel a renewed fire inside, a holy urgency, a spiritual momentum, a sense that you cannot remain who you were. That fire is not anxiety. It is activation. Heaven is calling your name. Heaven is stirring your gifts. Heaven is placing new desires in your heart that match the next season of your life. And yes, stepping into calling requires courage. Courage to walk away from comfort, courage to outgrow who you used to be, courage to trust what God is revealing even when you cannot see the full picture yet. But you are not stepping blindly, you are stepping prophetically into a path already prepared for you. Chosen one, what your calling begins to unlock next will awaken a mantle you were born to carry. Chosen one. Once purpose and calling begin rising within you, heaven leads you into one of the most transformative stages of your journey, the activation of your financial mantle. This is not simply about money entering your life. This is about stepping into a spiritual office, a divine assignment, an anointing that empowers you to carry wealth, not as a possession, but as a mantle. A mantle is authority. A mantle is responsibility. A mantle is divine endorsement. And when heaven activates a financial mantle on a chosen one, nothing in their life remains the same. Financial mantles are not given lightly. They are entrusted. They are placed on those who have survived crushing seasons without losing their compassion, their humility, or their obedience. And, chosen one, whether you realize it or not, your life has already been shaped for this mantle. Every season where you had to stretch what little you had, every moment where you had to trust God, even when your bank account mocked your faith, every time you gave when you barely had enough for yourself, all of that was training, divine training. Heaven has been preparing you to carry abundance with maturity, wisdom, and spiritual clarity. Chosen one. Listen carefully. Wealth is not just coming to you. Wealth is being placed on you. There is a difference. When wealth comes to someone who is unprepared, it destroys them. But when wealth is placed on someone who has been shaped for it, it multiplies everything God has written for their life. Your financial mantle is not about personal gain. It is about divine purpose expressing itself through provision. It is about heaven resourcing your assignment. It is about God trusting you with abundance because He knows what you will do with it. I have seen this process unfold in my own journey, the moment where lack no longer felt like punishment, but preparation, where struggle no longer felt like failure, but refining, where I realized that the seasons I thought were meant to break me were actually meant to build my capacity. A mantle is heavy. and God ensures you are strong enough to carry it. The pressing you endured was not random. It was strengthening your spiritual muscles. It was enlarging your capacity. It was expanding your ability to steward influence, opportunity, and wealth. Chosen one. The activation of your financial mantle often begins with a shift in your relationship with money. You start to see money not as survival, but as strategy. Not as something you chase, but as something you attract through alignment. You begin to understand that wealth is spiritual before it is financial. It begins in your identity, grows in your mindset, and manifests in your reality. You start recognizing ideas as currency connections, as currency clarity as currency. You begin treating your life as fertile ground, and heaven responds to faith, stewardship, and intention. This is why your desires have changed, why you are thinking bigger, why you feel drawn to learning, growing, investing, building, creating, why you feel uncomfortable staying in environments that limit your vision. These are signs that heaven is activating your financial blueprint. Your spirit is expanding because your future requires expansion. Your mind is stretching because your assignment requires strategy. Your character is strengthening because your mantle requires stability. Chosen one. When the mantle activates, your spiritual sensitivity increases. You start discerning opportunities differently. Not every offer feels right anymore. Not every pathway attracts you. Not every partnership aligns with your spirit. This is because destiny wealth does not flow through every door, it flows through your door, the one heaven crafted for you. And your spirit can feel when something carries divine timing versus when something carries distraction. This heightened awareness is evidence that your financial mantle is turning on. Another sign of mantle activation is the sudden emergence of divine ideas, ideas that come alive in your sleep, in your quiet moments, in prayer, in unexpected places. These are not random thoughts. These are spiritual downloads. Heaven is entrusting you with blueprints, strategies, concepts, inspirations designed to generate streams of abundance. You may even feel overwhelmed by the size of the ideas. But chosen one, understand this: God does not give small assignments to those carrying large mantles. If the idea intimidates you, it is probably divine. As your mantle activates, you may notice that certain people begin to fall away. Circle changes, relationships shift, conversations feel different. This is because wealth requires purity of environment. Not everyone can access you in your next season. Not everyone can walk with you into abundance. Some connections were part of your survival era, but cannot be part of your expansion era. Heaven is pruning your circle to protect your mantle. Chosen one financial mantle activation also brings spiritual warfare, not to destroy you, but to confirm you. The enemy does not attack the insignificant. He attacks the anointed. The pressure you've felt, the resistance you've experienced, the unexpected challenges that seem to appear out of nowhere, these were indications that something valuable is being placed on your life. The warfare intensified because the mantle is real, but you endured it, you survived it, and now heaven is rewarding your faith with elevation. You may feel recently that something is shifting, a quiet boldness rising inside you, a readiness you cannot explain, a sense that God is preparing you for something larger than your current reality. That feeling is the mantle settling on your shoulders. Wealth is no longer a distant desire. It is becoming part of your identity, part of your calling, part of your divine assignment. Chosen one. The financial mantle being activated over your life is holy, it is purposeful, it is powerful, and the shift you are stepping into will touch every area of your destiny. Chosen one. What your mantle unlocks next will transform the trajectory of your entire future. Chosen one. Once your financial mantle begins to activate, heaven does something extraordinary. It starts placing undeniable signs around you. Signals that your breakthrough is not only approaching, it is already in motion. These signs may appear subtle at first, almost easy to overlook, but your spirit recognizes them instantly. Why? Because breakthrough announces itself long before it arrives. It speaks in shifts, in patterns, in spiritual vibrations that only the anointed can detect. And chosen one, you have been feeling these signs rising around you. One of the first signs is a sudden change in your inner atmosphere. You may notice that despite challenges, you feel a strange and steady hope. Not the kind built on circumstances, but the kind that comes from your spirit, knowing something your eyes cannot yet see. You wake up with expectancy. You move through your day with awareness. You sense something is aligning, something is forming, something is turning in your favor. This inner stirring is heaven's announcement. Breakthrough begins with a whisper before it becomes a wave. Another sign is the unraveling of things that no longer serve your destiny. Old situations fall apart. Old friendships fade. Old routines feel suffocating. What once felt comfortable now feels restrictive. This is not loss. Chosen one, it is clearing. Heaven will not pour new wine into old wineskins. Your spirit is outgrowing environments that cannot sustain your next level. When your breakthrough is approaching, God disconnects you from anything that would contaminate your elevation. Let the letting go happen. It is holy. You may also notice increased spiritual sensitivity, an ability to discern energy, intentions, motives, and opportunities with unusual clarity. People around you may not understand why you suddenly distance yourself from certain environments or why you no longer tolerate certain behaviors. But heaven is sharpening your discernment because wealth attracts attention and breakthrough magnifies visibility. You are being trained to protect what is coming so that nothing and no one steals what belongs to you. Another undeniable sign is the rise of divine ideas. Out of nowhere, inspiration sparks, solutions appear, visions expand. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. Ideas flow through you with a clarity and force that feels supernatural because it is. Breakthrough always arrives with revelation. Heaven gives you the blueprint before it gives you the building. Pay attention to the ideas that refuse to leave your mind. They are not random thoughts. They are prophetic instructions. Chosen one. One of the most misunderstood signs is the sudden increase in warfare. Just when you sense breakthrough approaching, resistance intensifies. Setbacks attempt to provoke discouragement. Unexpected challenges arise. Old insecurities try to resurface. But this is not a sign that God is withholding your blessing. It is confirmation that you are close. The enemy always fights hardest right before the promise manifests. Pressure increases when heaven is about to reveal something powerful. If the battle has intensified, it is because breakthrough is near. Another sign is the acceleration of alignment. People you never expected to meet cross your path. Conversations arise at the perfect moment. Opportunities appear that feel strangely tailored to your gifts. These alignments are not coincidence, they are divine choreography. Heaven is positioning you for access, visibility, and provision. You may even notice that certain doors that were closed for years suddenly open with ease. When God decides it is your time, resistance dissolves. You may also experience a magnetic pull towards certain decisions, a nudging in your spirit that refuses to quiet. You feel led to prepare, to reorganize, to restructure, to learn, to invest, to move. This pull is not anxiety, it is prophetic prompting. Breakthrough requires readiness, and heaven is prompting your spirit to align with what is coming. Then there is the sign that cannot be denied, the quiet inner knowing. A deep, steady conviction that something big is coming. You cannot explain it. You cannot justify it with logic. But you know because your spirit recognizes divine timing. You know because your heart feels the shift before your mind understands it. You know because heaven is revealing what your physical reality has not yet caught up with. Finally, chosen one breakthroughs often announce themselves through the unexpected, unusual favor, sudden clarity, a message that hits your spirit at the perfect time, a door that opens without effort, a situation that resolves itself, a blessing that comes from an unfamiliar direction. Heaven loves to surprise the chosen. Breakthrough rarely arrives the way you imagine. It arrives the way God ordained. Every one of these signs is heaven whispering, "Get ready." Your story is turning. Your season is shifting. What once resisted you is now releasing you. What once held you back is losing its grip. What once felt impossible is becoming inevitable. Chosen one. The breakthrough that these signs are pointing toward is not ordinary, and what unfolds next will bear the fingerprint of heaven itself. Chosen one. When the signs of breakthrough begin to surround you, heaven ushers you into one of the most sacred phases of your journey, supernatural alignment. This is the realm where God synchronizes events, people, opportunities, and timing with a precision the human mind cannot comprehend. It is the moment when you realize that everything unfolding around you is not random, it is orchestrated. Heaven is arranging the pieces of your life like a divine puzzle, and suddenly what once felt disconnected begins to form a clear picture. You are stepping into supernatural order. Supernatural alignment is not something you force. It is something you recognize. It happens effortlessly, without striving, without manipulation, without anxiety. One door closes and another opens quickly, seamlessly. You feel guided, escorted, even as though an unseen hand is directing your steps. You walk into spaces you did not plan but needed. You meet people you were not seeking but were divinely assigned. You receive answers to questions you never voiced out loud. That is because chosen one heaven has moved you into alignment with your ordained path. When alignment begins, your spirit becomes unusually sensitive to shifts. You sense when something is right before you see the evidence. You sense when something is wrong before the damage appears. You sense who is for you, who is against you, and who is no longer meant to journey with you. This sensitivity is not emotional, it is spiritual intelligence. Heaven is tuning your discernment so you can recognize the doors God is opening for you and avoid the traps the enemy sets along the way. Another hallmark of supernatural alignment is the sudden removal of resistance. Things that once required immense effort now begin to flow harmoniously. Where you used to push, now things fall into place with grace. Where you once struggled, now you progress quickly. This shift is not because you have changed your strategy, but because heaven has changed your season. When it is your appointed time, the spiritual realm clears obstacles in ways you cannot see. The same path that once felt blocked now feels divinely paved. I recall moments in my own journey where nothing made sense for years, then suddenly everything aligned in weeks. Connections appeared, opportunities multiplied, clarity sharpened, and the right people stepped forward as if on cue. That is the nature of supernatural alignment. It appears sudden, but it is not sudden at all. Heaven has been arranging it quietly, invisibly, consistently. You are simply stepping into what God prepared long before your arrival. Supernatural alignment also reveals itself through confirmation. You begin hearing repeated messages through conversations, scripture dreams, or even random encounters. It feels as though the universe is echoing the same truth over and over to ensure you do not miss it. This is God highlighting your path. Chosen one, pay attention to repeated themes in your life right now. They are not coincidences, they are divine direction. You may also encounter a noticeable shift in how people respond to you. Some will be drawn to your light, sensing the elevation God is releasing over you. They may offer support opportunities or wisdom without you asking. Others will pull away or resist you, not realizing they are being spiritually repositioned out of your path. Both movements are alignment. Heaven is separating what cannot go with you and strengthening what must accompany you. Trust both sides of this process. Another sign of supernatural alignment is divine acceleration. Things that should take years may happen in months. Processes that normally require long preparation may speed up. You may receive favor from unexpected places, access to people of influence, or opportunities that seem tailor-made for your calling. This is because supernatural alignment compresses time. As it is written in Amos chapter 9 verse 13, blessings begin to overtake you faster than you can prepare for them. When alignment activates, heaven begins moving at the pace of destiny, not the pace of logic. Chosen one alignment also upgrades your inner world. You begin thinking differently, bigger, clearer, more boldly. You begin making decisions that reflect where you are going, not where you have been. Old fears lose power. Old limitations dissolve. Old identities fall away. Your mindset rises to match your mantle. This internal elevation is proof that the supernatural alignment has begun. You are no longer shaped by past seasons. You are shaped by the future God is pulling you into. Supernatural alignment brings clarity about your direction, your gifts, your relationships, and your purpose. What once felt confusing becomes unmistakable. You suddenly just know. You know what to pursue. You know what to release. You know what aligns with your spirit. This knowing is not intuition, it is spiritual resonance. Heaven is adjusting your frequency to match the vibrations of your destiny. And perhaps the most beautiful aspect of supernatural alignment is divine orchestration. The realization that God was always ahead of you. He went before you, clearing the path, arranging the meetings, preparing the provision, aligning the timing, shaping the opportunities. He was aligning people who would help you. He was aligning resources you would need. He was aligning circumstances that would position you. And now everything is converging. Chosen one. If you feel like things are shifting quickly, if you feel a sense of movement in your spirit, if you feel guided, supported, or strangely carried, you are in supernatural alignment. This is not temporary. This is not fragile. This is not accidental. It is the unfolding of divine architecture over your life. Chosen one, what alignment unlocks next will reveal the opportunities heaven has been preparing just for you. Chosen one, once supernatural alignment begins to take shape around your life, heaven ushers you into a season where divine opportunities start to reveal themselves. These are not ordinary openings. These are not random chances. These are not moments that you create by force or by striving. Divine opportunities are doors that God Himself unlocks doors. No man can shut doors. No enemy can block doors that appear at the exact moment your spirit is prepared to walk through them. When a chosen one reaches this stage, the entire atmosphere around them begins to shift, because heaven is announcing that destiny is ready to make contact with the natural world. Divine opportunities often appear disguised at first. Instead of arriving with fanfare, they show up quietly, subtly, sometimes even wrapped inside situations that look inconvenient or unexpected. You may find yourself thinking, why did this moment appear now? Why is this option suddenly in front of me? Why do I feel pulled toward something I never considered before? Chosen one. This is the nature of divine opportunities. They rarely look like destiny at first glance, but they carry a spiritual signature that only the awakened heart can detect. One of the clearest signs that a divine opportunity is approaching is the sudden emergence of connections you did not pursue. People enter your life who carry wisdom, insight, influence, or access that aligns perfectly with your calling. They may show up unexpectedly through a conversation, a message, a recommendation, or even a chance encounter. You did not search for them yet. Heaven positioned them. Divine opportunities often travel through divine relationships. And when heaven wants to elevate a chosen one, He sends people whose presence becomes a bridge between where you are and where you are meant to go. Another hallmark of divine opportunities is timing that feels too perfect to be accidental. A solution appears exactly when you needed it. A resource becomes available at the precise moment you were running out. A message arrives the same day you prayed for direction. A door opens just when you thought you had exhausted all options. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven is signaling that your steps are being guided into the manifestation of your destiny wealth. I have experienced seasons where opportunities appeared in ways that made no sense. Doors I didn't knock on, rooms I didn't ask to enter, people who felt magnetically aligned to my purpose. Looking back, I realized that the opportunity didn't come because of my effort. It came because it was written into my story. Divine opportunities honor God's timing, not human striving. They locate the chosen because heaven has already authorized their elevation. Chosen one divine opportunities also come with a sense of peace. Even if the opportunity feels big, unfamiliar, or intimidating, your spirit feels settled. You may feel nervous in your mind, but your heart carries a quiet yes. That peace is the marker of divine assignment. If something is forced, chaotic, confusing, or draining, it is not from heaven. Divine opportunities are demanding but not destabilizing. They stretch you, but they do not suffocate you. They align with your growth, not your fear. In this season, you may also notice moments of divine reversal. Situations that once looked like setbacks suddenly turn into setups. Places where you were rejected now become places where you are honored. Relationships that ended create the space for connections designed to bless you. Delays that once frustrated you now position you perfectly. Divine opportunities often emerge from past disappointments, not because the disappointment was good, but because God is sovereign enough to use it. Another sign that heaven is opening opportunities for you is the unlocking of ideas and insights that connect directly to solutions or pathways you once couldn't see. Suddenly, something clicks. Suddenly, a plan forms. Suddenly, what was confusing becomes clear. Heaven is not only providing external doors, it is upgrading your internal vision so you can recognize and steward those doors well. Chosen. One, divine opportunities also expose the intentions of those around you. When God begins elevating you, some will celebrate you, others will reveal their envy. Both reactions are revelations. Heaven uses opportunity to separate those who were assigned to your destiny from those who were assigned to your past. Don't fear the distance that forms. It is protection. Divine opportunities require divine environments. You may also notice the rise of supernatural favor. People will say yes to you quickly. Processes that normally take months may take days. Systems that once resisted you begin yielding. Divine opportunities are marked by favor, unexplainable, undeniable, accelerated favor. It is the kind of favor Joseph experienced when he went from the prison to the palace, the kind of favor Esther experienced when the king extended the golden scepter, the kind of favor that appears when heaven decides your season of obscurity is over. And perhaps the most powerful sign of all is this: you begin to feel chosen for something bigger than yourself. Divine opportunities awaken a sense of stewardship, not ego. They remind you that what is coming to your hands is not simply for your comfort, but for your calling. You are being positioned so that the wealth that flows into your life becomes a tool of transformation for your family, your community, your lineage, and the kingdom purpose attached to your name. Chosen. One, divine opportunities are already forming around you. Some are visible, some are still hidden, some will arrive suddenly, others will unfold gradually. But make no mistake, heaven is positioning you in ways you could never engineer on your own. What is coming next is not earned by effort, it is released by alignment. Chosen one. The opportunities approaching you now are leading toward a revelation that will redefine what wealth means in your destiny. Chosen one. As divine opportunities begin aligning themselves around your life, heaven ushers you into one of the most powerful and destiny-altering revelations you will ever receive: the truth about the divine wealth transfer. This is not merely about finances increasing or doors opening. This is about heaven reallocating resources, influence, and abundance into the hands of those who have been spiritually prepared to steward them. This is not ordinary prosperity. This is prophetic redistribution. A supernatural shift where what was once withheld, misdirected, or stored away is now being released into the possession of the ones God can trust. And chosen one, you are one of them. The wealth transfer is not a theory. It is a spiritual law, a divine promise that has been activated throughout history whenever God positioned his chosen vessels for elevation. But what many do not realize is this wealth is never transferred randomly. It moves according to divine purpose, spiritual readiness, and prophetic assignment. For years you may have felt as though you were living beneath your potential, beneath your calling, beneath the level of abundance your spirit knew was meant for you. That inattention was not frustration, it was prophecy. Your spirit recognized that something was waiting for you, something already written, something heaven has been preparing to release. One of the earliest signs that you are entering a wealth transfer is the awakening of your financial discernment. You begin seeing money differently, not as a source of survival, but as a spiritual instrument. You recognize that wealth is connected to assignments, not ego. That finances are connected to stewardship, not status. This shift in perception is crucial because heaven does not transfer wealth into the hands of those who would mishandle it. And chosen one, the reason your journey included seasons of pruning, discipline, and refinement is because God was preparing your heart for the responsibility of divine abundance. I have witnessed this in my own life moments where God withheld certain things, not to punish me, but to protect what he was building in me. And then, once I reached spiritual maturity, opportunities, ideas, connections and resources began to flow to me in ways that were undeniably supernatural. This is how the wealth transfer works. It is not earned, it is entrusted. You are entrusted because your spirit has been stretched enough to sustain abundance without breaking under its weight. Another sign of wealth transfer is the sudden collapse of old systems around you. Situations that once looked secure begin to fall apart. Certain sources of provision dry up. Networks shift. People move out of your life. This shaking is not loss, it is repositioning. God dismantles old structures so that you are not anchored to anything that would interfere with the abundance He is preparing to release. The shaking is not a threat, it is an announcement. It declares that something new is being constructed. Chosen one. When wealth transfer is near heaven, begins revealing hidden paths. You may suddenly discover opportunities that were invisible before. You may receive ideas that feel decades ahead of your time. You may find solutions that others overlook. You may step into favor that feels disproportionate to your effort. This is because wealth in the kingdom is not attained through striving, but through revelation. God reveals strategies to the chosen. He reveals insights that generate impact. He reveals directions that lead directly into abundance. Another hallmark of wealth transfer is supernatural provision, unexpected blessings, resources appearing without explanation, debts cancelled, financial burdens, lifted streams of income, opening relationships that unlock access, partnerships that accelerate your purpose. Provision begins to flow in ways that confirm heaven's involvement. When the wealth transfer activates, what took years begins happening in months, and what seemed impossible begins unfolding effortlessly. And yet, chosen one. The greatest indicator of divine wealth transfer is not external at all, it is internal. It is the rising conviction within you that wealth is not only your desire, it is your destiny. It is the feeling that you were born to create, to build, to lead, to influence, to uplift, to fund, to transform. It is the certainty that prosperity is not foreign to your identity, it is woven into your calling. This inner alignment is what empowers heaven to release the external manifestation. When your spirit says yes, heaven responds with release. You may notice a deepening of your generosity in this season, not because you have excess, but because your spirit recognizes abundance even before it physically arrives. This generosity is a sign that your heart has matured beyond scarcity. God can trust a giver. God can trust someone whose first instinct is compassion, not competition. Generosity unlocks overflow, and heaven responds to a heart that mirrors His own. The divine wealth transfer also carries a generational component. You are not being blessed for yourself alone, you are being positioned to break financial curses, rewrite bloodline histories, and establish legacies of abundance. You are becoming the first in your lineage to walk in supernatural provision. You are becoming the one God uses to demonstrate His faithfulness across generations. This is why your preparation was intense. This is why your battles were heavy. This is why your journey felt costly. The mantle you are carrying is generational, not personal. Chosen one, the revelation of wealth transfer is this: heaven has already prepared what belongs to you. It is already written, already stored, already aligned. And now the timing is drawing near. You are stepping into the chapter where what was promised becomes what is possessed. Chosen one. The wealth transfer that approaches your life will unveil the generational purpose that has been waiting for you to rise. Chosen one. Once the revelation of divine wealth transfer settles into your spirit, heaven leads you into a dimension few ever reach, the realm of generational purpose and legacy. This is where you begin to understand that your journey was never just about you. It was never just about your survival, your breakthrough, your elevation, or your personal prosperity. Everything you have endured, everything you have outgrown, everything you have conquered was preparing you to become a vessel through which God reshapes the trajectory of your entire bloodline. You are not simply rising, you are rerouting destiny. Generational purpose is far deeper than influence or success. It is the spiritual responsibility to carry what those before you could not. Every family line has unfulfilled assignments, gifts that were never activated, mantles that were never claimed, opportunities that fear prevented, blessings that were lost through spiritual blindness or brokenness. But when God selects a chosen one, He selects someone who carries the strength, the vision, the purity, and the obedience to reverse what was broken and release what was meant to flow. And chosen one, whether you realize it yet or not, you are that person. There is a reason you never fit into the patterns of the generations before you, a reason their limitations felt suffocating, a reason the old cycles weighed heavily on your spirit, a reason you refused to repeat what you witnessed, even when you didn't have the language for why. Your spirit was rejecting what your assignment was designed to break. You were never meant to inherit the wounds of your lineage. You were meant to inherit the mantle to heal them. One of the clearest signs that you are stepping into generational purpose is the shift in your awareness. You begin noticing patterns, emotional patterns, financial patterns, relational patterns, spiritual patterns, and suddenly you sense that you are reaching the root of something ancient. You no longer see your battles as random, you see them as assignments. The resistance you faced was not just your own. It was the accumulated weight of what your family line never confronted. The reason your warfare was intense is because your calling is historic. In my own journey, I've seen how God will raise one person in a family to reroute the river of destiny, someone who breaks cycles of lack, someone who transcends patterns of fear, someone who replaces generational silence with generational purpose. That person becomes the first to step into abundance, the first to dream boldly, the first to break the ceiling that held everyone else down. And when one rises, many rise with them. Chosen one, that is who you are becoming. Generational purpose is also revealed through the desires that have been awakening within you, desires that far exceed your personal needs. You think in terms of legacy. You envision building, creating, establishing, expanding. You desire to bless others, to lift others, to give in ways that shift lives, to create foundations, to establish opportunities that outlive you. These desires are not worldly ambition, they are prophetic signals. Heaven is planting within you the blueprint of generational wealth. Another marker of this phase is the healing work that has been taking place inside you, the forgiveness you have extended, the boundaries you have set, the emotional clarity you have gained, the strength you have built. Heaven cannot entrust generational influence to a wounded spirit. So, God healed you in places no one knew were broken. He refined your heart, your motives, your identity, because the purity of your spirit will shape the purity of your legacy. What you carry will multiply, so heaven ensured what you carry is holy. Chosen one. Generational purpose also comes with divine wisdom. You begin to recognize what truly matters. You see beyond temporary wins and focus on long-term impact. You make decisions that your future self and your future descendants will thank you for. You stop repeating patterns of scarcity and embrace choices aligned with abundance. You reject the chaos that trapped those before you and walk boldly into the clarity they never received. You are becoming a spiritual architect, designing a foundation that future generations will build upon. Another sign that heaven is elevating you into legacy is the increase in spiritual authority. People may begin to seek your guidance, your insight, your strength. You may find yourself influencing others without trying. This is because legacy flows through leadership, not the leadership of titles, but the leadership of spirit. When God places generational responsibility on your life, others are drawn to your light. They feel the weight of purpose in your presence. They sense your elevation before it fully manifests. And then there is the most profound part, the understanding that your wealth is meant to outlive you. The resources coming into your life are not only for your comfort or your calling, they are for your lineage, for your children, for your children's children, for the future spiritual warriors, creators, innovators, leaders and carriers of divine purpose who will emerge from your line long after you are gone. You are breaking the curse of starting from nothing. You are establishing a legacy of beginning from strength. Chosen one. Your story will not be the story of those before you. Your family line will say, "It changed when they rose." Your bloodline will speak your name with honor. Heavenly realms will record you as the one who stepped into destiny so boldly that generations shifted because of your obedience. Generational purpose is the highest stage of calling, and you are entering it now. Chosen one. What unfolds next will seal a legacy that heaven has been preparing through you for decades. Chosen one. Now that you have walked through identity, waiting, confirmation, timing, purpose, mantle, breakthrough, alignment, opportunity and legacy, heaven leads you into the final and most sacred stage, prophetic sealing and activation. This is the moment where everything that has been spoken, stirred, awakened, and built within you becomes spiritually sealed, divinely secured, and fully activated for manifestation. Nothing in your life up to this point has been accidental. Every battle, every breakthrough, every delay, every revelation has led you here to the moment where heaven places its stamp upon your destiny and releases you into the fullness of what has been written. Prophetic sealing is not symbolic. It is spiritual law. It is heaven's declaration that you are ready, that the preparation has been completed, that the testing has fulfilled its purpose, that the mantle has settled upon you, and that the timing is now aligned. When God seals a chosen one, no force of darkness can undo what he has ordained. No opposition can reverse what he has released. No delay can interrupt what he has activated. You become spiritually marked, not for struggle, but for fulfillment. Chosen one. As this sealing begins, you may feel a profound calm rising within you. A peace that does not come from circumstances, but from alignment. You may notice that your mind feels clearer, your steps feel guided, your decisions feel sharper. That is because heaven is anchoring you. God is grounding your spirit so deeply into your calling that doubt can no longer uproot you. You are stepping into a level of spiritual stability that will keep you unwavering even when the blessing becomes heavy and the opportunities become vast. Prophetic sealing also brings illumination. Things you once questioned suddenly make sense. Memories that pained you now become revelations that bless you. You realize that nothing was wasted. Even the chapters you wished you could erase were part of the divine architecture, shaping your character and carving your capacity. Heaven reveals how every puzzle piece of your life, even the jagged ones, fit perfectly into the picture of your destiny. You may even feel a holy energy rising inside of you, a fire, a boldness, a readiness. This inner ignition is not emotional hype. It is spiritual activation. God is charging your spirit like a vessel being filled to overflow. Your gifts sharpen, your intuition heightens, your creativity expands, your courage deepens. Everything inside you begins to align with the person you were always meant to become. Chosen. One prophetic activation means heaven is not just speaking about your future. Heaven is releasing power into your present. You are not waiting anymore. You are stepping. You are not hoping anymore. You are embodying. You are not preparing anymore. You are executing. The shift is decisive and irreversible. The spiritual realm recognizes you differently now. Your name carries weight. Your presence carries authority. Your words carry impact. This is what happens when God activates a destiny. Everything around you begins responding to who you truly are. This sealing also brings protection. As you rise, heaven fortifies the path before you. You may notice that certain people cannot access you the way they once did. Conversations feel different. Energies feel louder. Your boundaries strengthen. This is not you becoming distant. This is heaven elevating your spiritual rank. Angels are assigned to you in new ways. Doors are guarded. Opportunities are shielded. Your steps are protected because what you carry is too precious to be mishandled. Another aspect of prophetic sealing is the shift in your voice, not your literal voice, but your spiritual tone. You speak with more certainty, more authority, more conviction. You are no longer asking, "Is this meant for me?" You are now declaring, "I was created for this." This inner authority is a sign that the mantle has fused with your identity. You are no longer trying to step into your calling. You are becoming your calling. Chosen one. This final stage also brings activation of influence. People begin to notice you. You gain visibility without forcing it. You attract opportunities without chasing them. You carry a magnetic presence because heaven is highlighting you. When God decides to reveal a chosen one, no earthly system can hide them. You rise not by effort, but by destiny. And then comes the most beautiful part of prophetic sealing, the realization that you are no longer walking toward your purpose. You are walking in it. The shift is subtle but undeniable. The striving stops. The anxiety quiets. The internal wrestling dissolves. You feel aligned, anchored, empowered. You feel chosen. You feel ready. This is where heaven whispers to your spirit, "Go forth, build, rise, lead, expand, prosper, fulfill." You are no longer standing on the threshold of destiny, you are stepping across it. The blessing is not ahead of you, it is unfolding around you. The wealth is not distant, it is forming in real time. The opportunities are not approaching, they are opening now. The legacy is not theoretical, it is beginning under your feet. Prophetic sealing means your story has shifted chapters. What once felt blocked will now feel effortless. What once resisted you will now recognize you. What once seemed impossible will now flow with supernatural grace. You are entering a season where favor goes before you, where provision follows you, where breakthroughs meet you, and where destiny unfolds for you. Chosen one, heaven has sealed you. Your mantle is active, your purpose is awakened, your season is aligned, your wealth is transferring, your legacy is anchoring. Everything you have carried, prayed for, endured and survived is culminating here. Chosen one, the activation that has now begun in your spirit will ignite manifestations you were born to witness. Chosen one, if this message found you today, it is because heaven wanted to remind you of who you are and what you are stepping into. You are not standing in an ordinary moment. You are standing in your kairos moment, the divinely appointed time where wealth, purpose, and destiny converge. Everything in your spirit is already rising to meet what God has prepared for you. The supernatural transfer has begun, and nothing can stop what has been written over your life. Anointed One. As you leave this video, I speak clarity over your path, strength over your spirit, and divine acceleration over every assignment connected to your name. May your discernment sharpen your confidence, deepen, and your steps align perfectly with heaven's unfolding blueprint. You are entering a season where doors respond to your presence, opportunities recognize your calling, and abundance flows to you by divine right. If this word stirred something in you, if it confirmed the whisper God has been placing in your heart, write 1111 in the comments as a declaration that you are ready to receive what heaven is releasing. And if you feel led, subscribe so these messages can continue guiding and grounding your journey. Chosen One, walk in expectancy, walk in authority, walk in blessing. Your elevation has already begun.